Now, a group of top Republican senators are calling on the Biden administration to protect Jewish students. This across America's campuses, sending a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland and Education Secretary Miguel Cardona today. Senate Minority Whip in South Dakota Republican John Thune is one of them. Senator joins us now. Welcome, sir. What exactly are you asking from the administration?
Well, for them to take action. This is, you can't make this stuff up, Charles. What's happening on these college campuses obviously has been fomenting for a long time. This is decades in the making, but these are violations of federal law. You can't have this kind of rioting and violent acts against or harassment or discrimination against Jewish groups on these campuses. You can't have school officials who aren't protecting these students. Those are all violations of federal law. And, you know, the universities don't seem able or capable of addressing this. And so we're asking the Biden administration, the Department of Education, to take action, and the Justice Department to take action. And one thing they could do, the Department of Education could do very quickly, is take away funds from schools that aren't following the law.
Senator, I read also where your colleague Senator Cotton mentioned the Insurrection Act. Is that something that's applicable here?
Well, I think that any of these federal statutes, and I believe it is, and by the way, I give Tom Cotton a lot of credit for initiating this, because clearly something had to be done. These universities, as I said, are incapable of addressing what is a crisis on their campuses, and something that continues to just escalate and get further and further out of control. The universities need to be allowing the NYPD in there, the National Guard, just getting control of these campuses. And if you've got people there who are violating laws, they ought to be charged that way. And if you've got students who are here, foreigners who are here on visas, those visas ought to be taken away and they ought to be deported. I mean, there just isn't any room for this kind of behavior. The stuff that we're looking at in this country today looks like 1930s Germany, and there just absolutely is no excuse for it. It needs to be addressed. The administration needs to take those steps to address it.
No, and I want to pick up on that point, because it feels obviously the longer this goes on without any sort of major figure in power saying stop now, or let's say don't, for lack of a better word, the more it's going to embolden others to join. We've heard just Steve Harrigan talking about high schools joining and more colleges joining. But it feels like President Biden's just twisting himself up into a political knot here on who to side with. And now it feels like both sides, all sides of the argument, or this crisis rather, feel left out.
Right, and he should be siding with law enforcement. He should be siding with enforcing the law. This shouldn't be a difficult call for him. I realize the politics in the Democrat Party right now is such that there's a lot of political pressure on him to tolerate this sort of thing, but it will, if you see things like this happen, it will beget more of the same. You pointed out what's happening in other campuses around the country. You will see more of this. The way to stop this is to stop it in its tracks, and that means to take control of the situation and stamp out this kind of behavior. You can't have discrimination, you can't have harassment, you can't have violence on these college campuses directed at Jews. That is a violation of federal law, and what Tom Cotton and now 25 other Republicans have made clear in this letter, both to the Justice Department and the Department of Education, is take steps to address and fix this, or we're going to get a lot more of it.
Senator, before I let you go, can you update us on the foreign aid vote, and also what's going to become of the border?
Right. Well, the border needs to be fixed, and this administration has turned a deaf ear and a blind eye to that. That's going to probably take a change in administrations, honestly. But once that happens, that'll get back, and we'll get back operational control of the southern border. But addressing the national security interest that America has around the world is what's at stake in the supplemental appropriation bill the Senate's now considering. It will pass later this evening. It'll be with a big bipartisan vote. And I think it's important, the message that we send to countries around the world like China, Russia, Iran, all of whom are cooperating together now, that the United States is active and is going to defend its national security interests both here at home and other places around the world where we have allies, where our national interests are at stake.
Senator John Thune, thank you very much. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, Charles. Good to be with you.